Hello again. Thanks for watching. New episode of Dear Kevin. Back on track after a couple of sideways videos about Nazis and depression. Anyway, we're back talking about me again. I promise I'll get back to Kevin Smith tomorrow. So, this week's episode, I keep doing this week. I do this every day. I should know better. Today's episode is called Stop, which is the last high school screenplay I wrote. The last screenplay I wrote in high school. The last screenplay I wrote about a high school. The last, thoroughly autobiographical screenplay I'd write for a while. And, I don't know, I want to go back to high school, the genre. I like the idea of doing a high school movie, hence the background choice for the day. But I haven't done it in a while, I got sick of it. Obviously, high school fucking sucks. So, today we're talking about Stop. And I don't have a nice bound, in a binder, Stop screenplay. So I had to go digging in my writer's trunk, because I have a shitload of stuff that I've written over the years, and I got a big old box that says writer's trunk on it. I got 3 drafts here that I thought I'd share with you. One of them looks like the first, the draft I was working on when I was writing it. So I'd print out pages and then go back and rewrite them and then print out more pages, and the manuscript would slowly get thicker and thicker. This one is dated, I began it January 17th, 2007, and finished it February 18th. 2007. So, wrote it in a month, which I think was the goal. I think the idea when I started it was I wanted to write it in a month. And I remember being pissed that I finished it not on February 17th, but on February 18th. I actually wrote in here, finished February 18th, 2:06 a.m. Shit. Missed it by that much. Oh, I've got a little note on here too that says I need to fix some typos, edit for typos, and add a scene with Amanda and Peter. And something else I can't read, which I'm sure I did. This draft is 108 pages. It's about 2 best friends, go figure, and they're coming to the end of their high school careers together, and one of them's got a girlfriend, the other one does not. So essentially I was already working on Clerks 2 type of story or a Chasing Amy type of story, where one friend is trying to figure out where he wants to go to college, and where does he see his future being, with his friends or with his girlfriend, or it's very Ferris Bueller, Clerks 2, Chasing Amy stuff. So this other draft I have is I would say probably like the draft I would hand out if I wanted people to read it. On that earlier draft I'd written like, add the quote. I got all literary, which is something I've done since. I decided to add a little epigraph, quote at the beginning of the scripts, underneath, my little written by, date and time thing. The quote is from Alexander Pope, who I don't really know, but I like the quote. The quote is, "Blessed who can unconcernedly find hours, days, and years slide soft away, in health of body, peace of mind, quiet by day." Which seemed to fit because the screenplay is called Stop, because it's how I think a lot of us feel at the end of high school. Granted, a lot of us just can't wait for it to end and get out in the real world, but I think for a lot of people, the end of high school is just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with my life. I have no idea. I don't know if I'm going to go to school. I don't know where I'm going to go to school. I don't know what I want to do with a career. Am I going to marry my, romantic partner? Am I going to break up with my romantic partner? Am I gay? Am I straight? I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm 18 years old. Why is this happening to me right now? And I wish it all could just stop. So, the story is, the main character, who is named Peter, who I took that name from Foxtrot, by the way. I always liked that comic strip. The main character is the guy with the girlfriend and his comic book best friend. So he's my Ferris Bueller archetype. The lead guy, not nearly as cool, but the lead guy off of whom, everything else rotates around in this world. He wakes up for school one morning and throws his alarm clock against the wall, because cliches are fun. I was 17, what do you want? And, 17, just turned 18 when I was writing this. He throws his alarm clock against the wall, and it's like an old-fashioned alarm clock with the hammer and the 2 bells, ding, 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 ding. He throws it against the wall and it shatters and goes back to sleep, and he wakes up and starts his day and discovers that time has stopped. When he shattered his alarm clock, he froze time. So, his mother is frozen at the stove making breakfast, his little brother's frozen in the bathroom with a toothbrush hanging out of his mouth. The cat's frozen in midair, jumping to get something. So he discovers that his alarm clock controls time, and from there we leave him trapped stuck in time and flash back. I think that's what happens. We leave him trapped in time and flash back to figure out how he got to that point, the day before, what made him want to fucking destroy his alarm clock in the first place, why did he have such a shitty day. And we meet his best friend named Cameron. I said that was heavily inspired by Ferris Bueller. And his girlfriend and his teacher, inspired by my teacher, Mr. Geyer. And, yo, Mr. Geyer, what's up? Joe. And throughout the rest of the story, he fiddles with the alarm clock and tries to get it fixed, and he discovers if he moves the hands, he can jump forward in time, but the clock still won't move, so it's not like he can start living his life again. Then he fixes it, but badly, so his time starts to jump backwards and forwards, so he'll be having a really intense conversation with his girlfriend about their future, and it'll jump, and he'll be, hanging out with his parents having dinner, and like, what the fuck happened? What happened? He has no memory of what happened. So, big old metaphor for high school, and time getting away from us, and where does time go, and yada yada yada. I don't really like the script very much. It's my least favorite script I've written. There are some scenes in it that I really love. Ironically, this is the closest I ever got to making a feature film. That last draft I have, which you probably can't see because I wrote it in very light blue ink, it's called The Director's Copy. Just after high school. So I wrote this in February 2007. We all graduated, everyone in my class graduated May 2007. That summer, I tried to make a feature film. I got permission from the school to shoot there during the summer. I cast it with my friends. I was playing the best friend role of Kip. That's another fucking screenplay. The best friend role of Cameron. I cast some friends of mine in the other roles, various production ills where some people had to drop out, and I never heard from them again. Like, hey, I'm gonna be in your movie. Can't wait to see you, George. And I never heard from them again. Like, to this day, it's been a decade. So yeah, I tried to make a movie. We shot like 3 or 4 scenes, which are on YouTube. I'll post some links. They're on my old channel. We shot 3 or 4 scenes, and we did a full read-through at my house with partial cast. Some of my friends just wanted to be there to help, to hear the script and because they didn't, hear me talk about writing for years. I'd never actually had no idea what it was supposed to sound like in my head. So some friends showed up to just kind of read along or take the bit parts that I hadn't cast yet. And there's one scene where the 2 best friends kind of have it out. They have a Clerks 2 jailhouse type scene, which, okay, yeah, Clerks 2 had come out already. So yeah, I was rewriting Clerks 2. Shit. They're not in jail, they're at the guy's work. They're having a Clerks scene. They have a very long, intense conversation about, where their loyalties lie and what the fuck was the point of even being friends and all that good stuff. The same kind of scene in Superbad where Seth and Evan have a big old fight on the road outside the house party where Evan's like, fuck, I could have been chasing girls and making friends, and I spent my whole life hanging out with you and making dick jokes. I'm gonna go to college a fucking friendless virgin. One of those kind of scenes. Or like the scene in Clerks 2 where it's like, what was the point of us even being together? I wish you would have told me 10 years ago that you were gonna fucking bail. So I'd have known that, I wouldn't have bothered with you in the first place. That kind of a scene. And we did the read-through, and I was very passionate about it because, like I said, autobiographical. I was going through something similar with my best friend and his girlfriend at the time. And when we got to the end of that scene, I think my character had the last line, and I'd gotten into it. And my getting into it amped up the other actor playing, the other friend part. When we got to the end of that scene, I was just like, all right, I turned the page. And somebody around the table said, Jesus, George. And I was like, yeah, sorry, that might have been too much. And they were just like, no, like, that was really dramatic. I didn't, and I was like, thanks, let's just keep going. We got more screenplay to do. So there's some scenes I like in it, but the overall script, when I read it, it's the only script of mine I read that I'm like, I don't think I'd want to go watch this movie. I know how to make it. I thought a lot about it. There's some real clever, interesting time travel gags and jokes. There's some interesting, conversations about what it's like to be in high school. My favorite character in this script is actually the teacher, the high school teacher who kind of gives young Peter advice. They hang out after school. It's, a bit of a Wolfman Jack kind of character from American Graffiti. An advisor, a Yoda type of sorts. So there's some scenes in here I like, but overall the script just feels like a Nickelodeon original movie. And I can't remember, it must be rated R, like there must be some swearing in here. But it's the only script of mine that comes across, like when I read it, is very adolescent. Anyway. Another interesting thing about it for me is, like I said, it's, sort of based on the 2 best friends and the girl. Well, I made the main character, my best friend, not me. So I was kind of writing from his perspective. The best friend character was me, and then obviously my best friend's girlfriend was the girlfriend type. And then as I was writing it, everything just kind of got all washed away and stopped being autobiographical and became like the two versions of myself became the best friends. You know, a little bit of a Harvey Dent thing. The guy who wants to go to college and, you know, have a real life and grow up and mature, and the guy who's like, no, Mallrats forever and fuck that, and I'm gonna make movies and play pretend, and growing up, you know, Peter Pan, motherfucker, that whole thing, Neverland, never grow up. So that's what really, those characters stopped being about me and my best friend and became me and myself. So when I read this, like I said, when I read the script, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is very masturbatory and lame. And the girlfriend character became a girl who I don't even know if she exists in high school at all. She's so lame and boring. Like, not at all the girl that it's based on, like, originally based on. She became just a lame antagonist, which also ruins the screenplay, because in theory you want this couple to be together. I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to write a screenplay in a month. So that was the last high school script. It was the last autobiographical script for a long time for me. It marked for me the end of high school, the end of some friendships, the end of childhood, the end of adolescence, kind of a thing. And the end of, like, the first stage of me as a screenwriter. After this point, we start getting into the scripts that I really like and that I'm still proud of and that I got a lot of positive feedback from and that the Nickel Fellowship has enjoyed as well and all that good stuff. So this is a real transformative, transitional script, I should say. And, you know, obviously there's plenty of Kevin Smith shit in the script, lots of references. Like I said, Mallrats forever. Lots of Kevin Smith tropes in terms of, like, two friends going through life crisis together, sort of thing. But the Dear Kevin of it all is actually not about me or high school or my screenplay. It's actually just a direct plea to Kevin because I, you know, was a fan of his. So, Dear Kevin Smith, you used to write very autobiographical, ripped from your heart screenplays where every character is based on someone you knew, and the dialogue would sometimes be taken from direct quotes, and there were stories that you lived through and that you wrote to either celebrate the people you loved or to help you get through something that you were going through, whether it was a relationship or a crisis of faith or, you know, shitty convenience store job or whatever it is. And you haven't done that in a long time. You branched off into doing these fucking bananas, weird, batshit crazy movies, which I love. And you've talked about the fact that, like, it's, you know, there's nothing, you're happy now, kid. You know, it's like, kids, art comes from pain and I'm happy now, so there's nothing to say. And I couldn't be happier that you're happy, but at the same time, I'm asking you as a fan, if you find the time or if you're interested in it, to write one more autobiographical kind of script. And maybe you already did. Maybe Jersey Girl is the movie I want to see, the director's cut. That I'm, you know, that, by the way, segue, sidebar, Dear Kevin. Dear Kevin, fucking release director's cut of Jersey Girl, please. I'm desperate to see it. I want to know what that movie looks like in you know, in its entirety. Back to the main Dear Kevin. I want you to write an autobiographical screenplay about your marriage, or about marriage in general. I've heard you talk about marriage a lot on podcasts and commentary tracks. The podcast you did with your wife, Plus One, I thought was awesome and funny, and a real fascinating and unique insight into your kind of marriage, into what marriage is. I think that it's been a while since there's been a movie about marriage. Apatow did it with This Is 40. But none of that shit rang true to me. There's a lot of great scenes in that movie, but I don't know, that movie didn't feel... That felt less like this is a marriage and more like, boy, being in your 40s is depressing, isn't it? Which maybe it is. I don't know, I'm 27. But anyway, please, Kevin Smith, if you ever decide to go back to a slightly more normal movie when you're not fucking around in Canada with monsters, which, I mean, do that forever. Keep fucking around in Canada with monsters. That's amazing. But if you ever want to go back and do something a little bit more Chasing Amy-esque or Jersey Girl-esque or Clerks 2-esque, you know, something a little closer to your heart, I think you should write about marriage. And maybe Jen is like, fuck you, don't write about our marriage. But I don't know. I'd like to see that movie. I'd like to see your take on marriage and relationships and what it takes to make one work, and the hard times and the bad times and all that stuff. I started writing a marriage screenplay myself like 4 or 5 years ago, and I bailed 8 pages in because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm out of my depth. I have no idea what it's like to be married. So that's my plea to you this week, Kevin Smith, sir. Please, if you ever are in the mood to write something autobiographical, write something about marriage. I think that'd be interesting. A lot. I think that'd be really interesting. I think you could write some fantastic characters and some fantastic scenes. Plus, it'd be a great way to celebrate, you know, your wife, who I know you love to death. So, Sincerely, George. That's the end of this week's Dear Kevin. Today's Dear Kevin. I haven't looked at the runtime. I'm sure I've been talking for a long time. I talked about stop for quite a long time, ironically. So I'll put the script up on the blog, and you can check it out at adolescentconceptions.wordpress.com. And I'm going to put the links up to those videos, those 3 or 4 scenes I shot, and you can read the script and compare to what eventually I shot. Which, by the way, I was a really crappy director too. I was no good with actors. It was all line readings and like stop, go back one line, do it again. Like I don't think we shot one take of the whole scene like as a master. I don't think I ever let the actors run through the scene together once. Hui. Anyway, so all that stuff will be up on the blog and on the YouTubes and all that stuff. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with the 10th episode, where we've reached episode 10. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll get into it. We're gonna do another special kind of thing. Not just talking about me or an individual movie. I've got a semi-special thing special thing in mind for episode 10 of Dear Kevin. So thank you so much, and I'll shut up now. Good night.